Hey, Rick, we had Sean Daniels back on. Phenomenal agent. So, what did you get about having him back on? What is your key points?
Well, he's done so well in the last year. You know, he has a big team. He's grown his team. He has 22 people on his team.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell he's a great mentor. He knows real estate, and he believes heavily in teaching.
Yes.
Not only his agents, but his customers. You know, people he's working with, and that's what I got. I think he really is a great teacher, and make sure that people are completely prepared to buy a house.
Yep. And I love that we went through. If you're looking at selling your home, what does he do for you? And then what does he do if you're just buying a home? So there are different processes, and he goes through it, and I think that's phenomenal.
Yeah, he's good for both buyers and sellers. Yep. He's really good.
So tune in and listen to Sean Daniels and his story.
Welcome to Indy's Real Estate Gurus, your ultimate guide to the dynamic world of real estate in Indiana. And I'm Rick Ripma, your hardworking mortgage guy, and I've been in real estate and mortgages for over 24 years.
And I'm Ian Arnold, a loan officer on Rick's hardworking mortgage team, and we are both with Advisors Mortgage Group. Together, we'll empower you with expert advice, market trends, and successful stories from guru realtors and local experts.
Whether you're a homeowner, investor, or pro, join us as we navigate the thriving Indy real estate market.
Now get ready to unlock the doors of success, one episode at a time.
All right, we got Sean Daniels back. Sean is now since he's been on the show, you've been on TV.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. You've been on all kinds. I mean, we made you famous.
Yes.
Well, we're taking the credit.
Billy the Kid over here.
Yeah, but people probably don't remember your basic story. So what did you do before real estate, and how'd you get into real estate? And then we want to get into more of how you run your business.
Okay. So first, I got into real estate. Well, before real estate, to start with your original question there, was I graduated high school. I was going to Kelly School of Business. I was working at Discount Tire, assistant manager of Discount Tire. I was doing that. Ended up leaving that field, going into the automotive industry. Service advisor, the guy that gives you all the bad news when your car breaks.
Yeah.
From that, I was helping about 300 some people a month for 20 years. I also got in the management role while I was doing that career. Met a ton of people, which was very beneficial. Didn't realize how beneficial it was until I got into real estate, changing gears. But I kept that career while I was transitioning into real estate because my wife and I had the goal of becoming debt free. Because, real estate, just like lending, is like this.
Yep. So,
and what I did learn from Ray is if you can live a life like that, where you don't spend all your money, you're going to outlast the other people. You're going to outlast the other individuals in your industry. I hate to say that because, most people start making more money. What do? They go buy shinier things.
Yes.
We didn't do that. We just kept paying everything off. Finally paid everything off. I left the career and started my brokerage. Didn't recruit. Still don't recruit. Had some wonderful agents come on at the beginning of last year. I had a couple come on the year before that. But last year was like the explosive year. Now I got 22 agents going on my third year. We finished the year last year around 200 ranking for a boutique brokerage up against all the, big, well-known name brand brokers. So we're pretty proud of that. And as an individual, I finished 49th because I don't take credit for my team. When I say that in this world, a lot of people don't understand. Many brokerages or brokers will make their team put their number on every purchase agreement, every listing. So that splits the numbers. So like that person's doing all that hard work, but the client doesn't get the credit for all those numbers.
Right.
And that's one thing a couple of the agents that came on said that they really loved because they thought that's just how it is. But by doing so, now they can toot their horns. Hey, these are my numbers. This is my rankings. And that's our report card. It's not, it is bragging, but it's not, because we don't have resumes like that we're to get a job.
Right.
Our resume is our experience and what we can show them on paper.
Yep.
and then what we can show them in person.
Yeah. So one thing when you're talking about when people make more money, they spend more money.
Oh,
so I'm not going to say what company it was, but I worked for a company, and at the end of the year, right for the new year, the boss comes in. He's like, "All right, I want you to write down what you plan on buying this year." And I'm like, so everybody's writing stuff down. I'm a very frugal person.
Oh yeah.
I wrote on there, "Hey, I'm trying to get closer to paying off my house." So he pulled me in his office. He goes, "You're not planning on buying anything?" I go, "Besides food and stuff." I go, I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at getting debt free like you.
Yeah.
I mean, basically the only thing I have is my house. And I'm like, well, if I can get that taken care of, then I'm golden. He's like, no. You don't understand. You'll sell more if you buy more. And I'm like, no, because I'm outselling all your people and I'm not buying more.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thought process when you were talking about that. It just made me rethink about that.
I had an old boss, Joel. He told me a long time ago, he goes, "I love employees that are in debt." Because they're not going to go anywhere, right? Yeah. They're going to show up every day. They're going to work. It's a sad thing to say, but it's true.
Yeah. There's not much freedom in being in debt.
Not much freedom, but I preach to my agents, like, you need to become debt free. You don't know freedom until you're debt free.
Right.
And, I'm still in the same house I was when I was 23, and I built my house at 23 years old. Had 3 roommates move in and before I met my wife. And I just recently heard a story from Derek Christie, which he's your competitor. I apologize, but I got to bring it up. And, as he was making it in the industry with his business, he had a Durango. And this Durango, I think he drove for like 17 years. Don't quote me on it, but I think it was a long time when he could have bought 10 of my trucks, right?
Right.
So like my house is kind of like the Christie Durango to me. We do want to buy a new house or build a new house, but we want to do it right.
Right.
You know what I mean? We want to pay cash for it.
Yeah.
And we're almost there.
Yeah.
We bought our first rental last year, and that was fun and exciting. My wife said we can't buy anything else until we get the new house.
Well, I want to know how you have such a huge team when you don't recruit. What is it that you do that attracts these people to your team?
Culture. It's all about culture. So sadly, so many have come on my team and expressed the experience they had before they came on my team and what they love about Daniel's real estate. And I feel like once they see it's real, because I had one recently just come on, and before she came on, like she had some PTSD. I didn't realize from her old broker. And she called me back again, talked to me more about how she felt about changing. And I said, "Hey, I promise you, talk to the girls that came here. I promise you, it's different here." And that also comes from my past career. There's so many people that kind of crap on you in this industry, and they're dictators, right? They want you to do something. They're going to get mad at you for doing it wrong, but they're not going to show you how to do it right. Go watch this module. Go do this. Like my agents, they can ride with me. They can I just had one call me on the way here. I said, "Hey, I got 6 minutes. I can call you afterwards. What do you got?" I'm readily available. And from what I find from other brokerages, that's not normal. And I want to keep that going, and if it gets to the point where we grow to enough, I want somebody else of the same magnitude to help step in.
Right.
So we have, hey, okay, this is going to be your group. I'm going to split off in this group. And then I could probably focus more on like monthly training, in-person monthly training. And in-person to me is huge. Like Skype, all that stuff, it's great, but it's not personable. I know it's hard to scale on a larger level by the way I'm thinking. But just for instance, I had one of my agents meet me before my board event on the east side, Hancock. And I met her at Tia's. And I was there early doing my work. And this Officer Allen, is there. And he walks over to me. He's like, "Hey, you probably don't remember me, but I graduated a couple years behind you. I'm Philip Allen. I love seeing everything on your Facebook and how you're doing your business. And, I'm into rentals. I like buying rentals and selling them and doing that for a side hustle." And I was like, thinking I'm going to get a client, right? And better yet, he goes, "And I've got a friend of mine that's a real estate agent for another brokerage." And I won't say which brokerage, but it's a big box brokerage. And he's just not getting the training there that I think he probably needs, going through these deals, just seeing how he's working, because he's a hard worker. So fast forward, he gets him with me, and now he's on my brokerage. But that never would have happened if I didn't meet my agent at the coffee shop.
Right.
We can't be secret agents. Remember that from last podcast. Yep. You have to get out. You have to interact. No different than me interacting with my agents. Very rarely, if it doesn't go by at least one day, that I don't send a group message with a video to my agents about something. I mean, very rarely. And then we have this big group text that we're all on. And it could be annoying to some people, but the feedback I get is, they're learning from all of our troubles that we're having or successes by what we're sharing with each other. And also, hey, here's something that I just experienced. And for the sake of names, like I would mark out another agent's name or something and say, hey, this is a transaction I'm on. Here's kind of how it's going. Here's how I worded things. Or here's, a situation with a client maybe. We ran into this hurdle. This is how I handled it. To give them real life scenarios. You don't get that. I'm telling you right now, you don't get that. Like my first agency I started with, God bless her, she was awesome. But there was, how do you get your clients? I don't know. They just come to me. That's just how it is in this business. And like when somebody asks me how I get my clients, it's like, well, let's have a meeting. Let's sit down. I'm going to show you all the free game and everything. Now, if you're going to apply yourself, great. Most times people don't, but I'm just going to keep pushing.
Yeah.
Until I can break through somebody. Somebody's going to break through, and that breakthrough person is going to be the person that like the other people are like, wow, they did everything Sean said, and now their whole life's changed financially. Their career's taken off.
Yeah.
That's my goal. My goal is to mentor. My goal is to continue my business personally and my clients personally, but grow many Seans if I can.
Yeah. Well, isn't it amazing though how people want your advice and they want to be as successful as you?
Oh yeah,
but they aren't willing to work.
No, that's
put the effort forward.
Gary Vee, if you ever watch Gary Vee, he talks about that. He was standing up from this big audience and says, "Hey, I'm going to show you everything I do, how I made my money, how I grew, how I scaled, but you won't do it." I had a meeting with another big box store person that I respect highly. And they had a conference and everything, and she kind of met with me to kind of pick my brain, like what am I doing? Like how am I growing so fast? What am I doing? And I told her everything. I go, but just like your conference, I go, how many times you guys come to that conference every year, and how many times do people actually do all the great things that they shared in that conference? She goes, not really. So
most people don't.
They don't. I will say this. We had our January meeting, and I put together a really nice slideshow, and we went to not Top Golf, but Back Nine, and used their suite. And, I was nervous, right? Because I haven't really had a team like that. I hadn't had a group like this. And I want to make sure that I'm giving them everything that they need, that I feel like they need to be successful. And I went over all the free shareable stuff that's out there. Like, hey, if you don't want to go out there and create your own content, here's all the free stuff.
Right.
So you have no excuses. Every morning you can copy paste this stuff or put it in Chat GTP and make it your own, or put it in Canva and like make the picture look like your own. Like there's no excuses not to share stuff on social media, and social media is where it's at, right? Just like this podcast.
Right.
It's all about consistency. So after that meeting, we had a great meeting. I don't know what happened, but like everybody just started making videos. Everybody started like kind of, not everybody, I'd say at least 70% of them. And I'm just seeing like, and now they're getting deals, right? Now, like one's got 2 deals already, another one's got 3. And they're just scaling, and they're seeing the consistency on a slow time of year.
Yep.
And the rewards they're getting from it. And it makes me
awesome.
feel really good. And I call them personally and say, hey, you're killing it. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Keep that content going. Keep the videos. And people just don't want to hear about houses either. I mean, they want to hear about you. Who are you? What are you about? You're a family guy. Do you like sports? You work out? What kind of things am I struggling with? Right. I'm a real person.
Yep.
We all have struggles. We do. It is what it is.
We had a person on, and they would go to coffee shops and they would review coffee shops.
Yeah.
And
I do it all the time.
They had over 1 million people watch one of them.
Really?
1 million
Isn't
people.
that crazy?
Yes.
There's a gal right now. Gosh, I wish I could remember her name. She does really well in real estate, and she's kind of taken off, and she's on my TikTok, and I've shared her a couple times with my team, and she just calls other agents, kind of like this. She does it on a whole other level than I do it. Like I'll go and do videos of houses and stuff. but like she has a ton of content, and she did a video on a clothing store like Burlington or something in Indiana, and she got like 20,000 views, all these followers, and she learned, like she kind of took off from there. Like, I need to keep doing these videos. And one thing I've told my team, and it came from another meeting we had, done's better than perfect. I got that from somebody else. Done's better than perfect. So make the video, put the content out there. You'll get better at it. I just posted a Taxman video, I don't know if you guys watched it or not, that my wife and I videoed a year ago. And I had yet to post it because I was like, man, it's got to be perfect. It's got to be this. And we just went in and posted it, and it's been a huge success already. But it's just doing it. And these phones can do so much.
They can, can't they?
Oh my gosh.
Unbelievable.
The cinematic mode. Somebody asked me one day, I like walking out back of my coffee and looking at the sun and maybe saying something to cheer somebody up for the day. And somebody said, what are you using to film that? I was like, my phone. I literally bought a brand new 15 from my 12 because of cinematic. Yeah. Cinematic's awesome. Then you got to know how to use Zoom and all that stuff when you're not using cinematic. But, here not long ago, MI had a meeting, inviting a bunch of realtors there, right, to come in. And I said, I grabbed two of one was my newer agent. The other one was agent's been with me for a little while, but just her video's not the greatest. So I was like, let's go do video here. Let's get there 30 minutes early. I already talked to him. I said, we get there 30 minutes early. Nobody's there yet. And I go, we're going to walk through. I'm going to show you exactly how I do my video. I'm going to show you how I cut it afterwards we leave. And I did. We got done. We went to a coffee shop, Runway 19, sat down. I opened up my app, said, here it is. This is how I'm going to do it. This is how I cut it. This is how I cut that. If I get rid of sound, add sound, music, no music, voiceover. So I challenge myself to voiceover because I've been telling my agents, do the voiceovers, do the video, do the voiceover later. And I did. I finally did my first voiceover. I think it was making some eggs or something. And then I did one for a house. And then I learned I can make my voice sound better, so you don't hit the breathing in between. Because I didn't use a mic. I just used the phone.
Isn't that amazing?
Whoa. You know what the breathing in? There's one guy who breathes into his all the time.
Yeah.
And he's probably more famous than anybody. His name's Darth Vader.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Vader. But he's also Darth Vader. He's bad.
Yeah.
Bad guy.
He's a bad guy.
John
doesn't want to be a bad guy. He's not a bad guy.
No. I'm just good at doing houses.
Well, if you're so good at doing houses, how would somebody even get a hold of you?
No, you can reach me at 317-371-0060. Also, get me on danielsrealestate.com. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram. I don't do Twitter. I am on LinkedIn, and I'm not too old for TikTok.
So he still does the dances. Now it's your turn, Rick.
I know it's my turn. I wanted to make sure I remember the numbers. So I just wrote it down, but all of a sudden it left my head, and I thought, what is it? But to get a hold of Ian or I, first go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com, or you can give us a call at 317-672-1938. It's 317-672-1938.
All right. So before we get in more of the real estate, we're going to take a little side step.
All right.
So, Indiana, as anybody who's lived here knows that we got quite a bit of different restaurants. Mm-hmm. What's your favorite one?
My favorite one right now would be Geraldine's downtown.
Okay.
Love Geraldine's.
And why is it your favorite?
I like it because it's not a chain. It's a mom and pops. They got a piano guy in there. It's very kind of 50s themed to me. They have a valet every now and then that's parking cars, which funny story. Last time I was there, I didn't use the valet, and I didn't see him when I pulled by, but he comes in, he gets the menu, and he's like, this young guy, he's like looking at the menu. He's like, can I get this chicken on here? And we had a really great year last year, and this year's starting off phenomenal. And I look at him, I go, you really want a chicken? You want chicken here? This is a steak restaurant. I go, you like filet? He goes, he's looking at me kind of like, what? He goes, yeah. I go, get him an 8-ounce filet on me. And I learned a lot about him just from sitting there. And it's just stuff you don't hear from chain restaurants. Like this guy's he lived in Lafayette. Dad came here from Lebanon. His dad was Lebanese. You couldn't tell, like, this kid just looked like you or I, right? But had a really cool name. I wish I could remember it right now, but
he probably had hair though.
Yeah, he had hair. Yeah. He had hair. Long story short, I like the restaurant. It's a very mom and pop's feel. It's got great food. I mean, the shrimps there, when you get them, are like this. When you go downtown at some of those other restaurants, are less. I don't know.
Where is
I
it?
like good service too. It's not far from Fountain Square. I don't know the road it's on.
And it's called Mary Jane?
It's called Geraldine.
Geraldine. Geraldine.
You need to go there. Y'all need to
Yeah.
go there. They got an upstairs and a downstairs. It's not a huge place, but like a lot of times we can get in there and sit at the bar. My wife and I don't have the kids. We like to, no matter where we're at, we like to go sit at the bar.
Yeah, we do too.
We like to talk to people. I never had an interaction with that young man. He later went and gave me a 5-star review on my Google.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, he said, I met this guy. He's in real estate. And, it was great talking. We were talking about his, what he's wanting to do with his life, and I gave my card. So if you decide real estate's your path, let me know. His dad came over here on a visa. His grandpa paid for his dad's college.
Wow.
I never learned any of that.
Right.
Any of this. Life's about people. My secret? It's all about people.
Yep.
Here recently, I was just at Taxman visiting a title guy. We walk outside. This guy pulls up in this badass Mustang, like backing it in. Like I think it was 67, and I made a video on it. And it's rumbling. The guy's got like a black jacket on. He's probably my age or younger. His girlfriend's in the car or wife. And he gets out. I was like, man, that's nice. That's a nice vehicle. You care if I do a video of it real quick? I just want to make a video and post it on my page. And I learned he owned his own little car place where he buys nothing but Mustangs. He got this one out of Peru, the country.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's into it. And I did the video. I tagged him in it, and then he ended up liking it, sharing it. Got over like 2,000 views. The guy Michael from the title company, he's like, man, that's what it is. That's your secret. Like that guy just backed in. He lets you do a video. You talk to him forever, and then now he's
he knows who you are.
But I'm sincere. Like I sincerely like the car. Sincerely like the guy's business.
Right.
I want to go and video some cars in his business later. It's not all about real estate.
Right.
Coffee shops.
Yeah, coffee shop. I know. This is amazing. What it doesn't. People kind of get over the real estate, or for us, mortgages. Nobody really cares about mortgages, right? Not until they're ready to do mortgages.
Yeah. You're like you should be the first person they call. Usually, you're the second person.
Yeah,
if it's a good agent.
Yeah, but let's be honest. People write checks to us.
Yeah.
That's a payment. Here, they're dreaming. Ooh, I really like that kitchen. What's now in style? What? You get a double oven? Do you have? So that's a little different of a wish list than, hey, I like.
Don't give them more reasons not to call us first. What is wrong with you?
I just understand the psychic part.
John just said that I couldn't agree with him more.
Yeah.
The first people you should call if you're going to buy, and you aren't paying cash, is a mortgage person.
Absolutely.
Because you need to know what you can afford,
Yeah.
what you can qualify for.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then from there, do the budget.
Yeah.
You know how many times I get clients that maybe with another brokerage, and it's usually not like a brokerage like yours. It's local, and I'm approved for 400,000. Great, well, what do you want your monthly payment to be? Because they'll want to start looking at 400,000 our houses like that,
right?
And okay, you want your monthly payment to be this, so we should be 300. Did they talk to you about what their fees are? What do you mean? And especially if they're a veteran, they just they never bought a house possibly. And they don't understand they still have fees on the lending side. And you're like, oh, I didn't know that. So I learned early on to make sure I ask these right questions and educate my clients. And educating the clients is another secret to everybody's success. I went from Waffle House to getting somebody a brand new house within 24 hours. They saw my sign.
Wow.
They called me. That house was going pending like an hour later. I go, let's meet tomorrow morning. It's Saturday. You guys go break bread somewhere, where you want to go. So Waffle House in Greenfield. I was like, cool. It was a young couple too, really nice couple. We sit down. I bring a purchase agreement. I go over the purchase agreement with them. I go over the seller's disclosure with them. Like, this is what you're going to be signing. This is what this is about. Most people sign these, have no idea what they're signing because nobody goes over it with them. I'm telling you right now.
Right.
It's very slim that an agent takes the time to do a proper consult and go over it with them. So from there, they felt comfortable. So within hours, we're looking at 3 houses. Hours after that, I'm writing an offer up on one. I made sure I talked to their lender and, made because they already got the lender in online, which was nice. And everything worked out great. And we're going to be We just got through inspection. We'll be closing here in about 4 days.
Awesome.
So
From Waffle House to owning a house.
So let me ask you this. So what is this? Let's start here. If somebody's has their house and they're looking at selling,
Yep.
and I want to educate these guys, or I want you to educate them because I want you to talk, not me. So what processes do you go through if little Timmy just walked up and say, hey, I got a house right here in Broad Ripple that I'm looking to sell. What do you do?
How soon can we go see it? So how soon can we go see it? That way we can walk through the house. If there's anything that needs to be taken care of before we list it, we can kind of give you my advice on it. Generally, like that doesn't happen like that. So usually you got to 24 hours or whatever. So I'll go ahead and do some pre-comps. I'll print out my listing agreement, like they're going to sign it already. Like I have everything ready to roll. And I do my comps like 3 different ways. I do it the hard way, which most people don't know how to do in our industry, where like you actually pull the houses up around the house. If you can't find those, you go a little further out. And then I do a couple algorithms with our RPR. It's super easy. It's not always right. That's why I like doing it the hard way. And I do it also with the tax comparables, and it's not always right, but it's usually close. So like I show up with this stuff all printed out, and I walk through the house. I make my notes. I sit down. I go over everything with them. I sit down with my highlight sheet. This is my credentials. This is what I'm going to offer you. This is what you can hold me accountable for. Here's how I'm going to advertise your house, unlike no other agent, and here's my videos. I got to prove it. Here's all my videos, right?
Right.
That's what I do. And 99% of the time they sign that day or maybe a week later or whatever. But usually they sign right there and then.
Well, you put all the work in. I mean, it's you have to look at it like you do as a business. Hey, look, if I put all these proposals together, put all these listings, all right, here's the other ones that sold in this neighborhood with these, this, and this. This is what you have. You don't have this, but they have this, and show them and all of that. That speaks bold because, I mean, let's be honest, you're probably walking in with a stack of paper like this, and other people are walking in, here's my business card.
Yeah, seriously. And that's what they say. If I'm not the first one, they'll be like, yeah, the other 2 people didn't bring anything like this. Like, and I'm going over it with them, like why I feel like the price should be this. And I always like to ask them, like, what do you think the price should be? Because people look at Zillow, right? They look online, or they have some mom or dad or neighbor or whatever gave an idea. So that's usually how I start off when I get there and I walk through the house and I say, what do you think the price should be? And that way I can work myself down or up and give them a better reason why I feel like it should be this price or that price. And it's tough sometimes because sometimes people think their house is worth more. They got a lot of emotional attachment to it. And the sad thing is, if you list the house for more than it's worth, you're most likely going to take your not sphere of people, but your buying power, like the people up there, and you're going to take it like that.
Right.
When really could have been like this. You might have got a bidding war, and you would have had more exposure, less time on the market. But now we're like, all right, now we're waiting. And what I tell them at that point, if I don't just list it, I say, hey, let's make agreement here. I'll do yours, your price. After 3 weeks, maybe 4, if we don't have 15 showings and 3 offers, we're going to drop the price. And if they're not okay with that, there's no point in listing the house, especially if it's astronomically too high. Because all I'm going to do is waste their time. They're going to waste my time. Usually people get upset at some point.
Right.
Because they were wrong. I've been there.
Yeah. But we don't admit we're wrong.
No. But it is what it is. But usually that works. And there's 1 of 3 things that will affect the sale of your house: condition, location, and price. So price is usually the only thing you can work with at that point because your location's what it is. Condition's about as good as they'll make it at that for pictures and everything. So price is where you want to have that conversation up front. And most time people remember that conversation. Sometimes they don't. But that way, when it comes 3 to 4 weeks in, like, hey, okay, we got this many views. Here's our analytics. Here's what we got from social media. Here's how many showings we had. Here's the feedback we've got on them. It's time to go ahead and drop the price.
Yeah. And obviously, price is a big piece of it.
Everything.
But especially, I mean, if you're not getting showings, there's 2 things to me, and I'm not a real estate agent, but to me, it's like if nobody wants to come see your house, there's a reason for it, right? It's probably price. And if people come see your house and nobody makes an offer, it's probably price. unless it's obvious that, you've got a hole in the floor. I mean, there could be other things, but pretty much it's going to be price.
Price is the number one denominator in all three of those.
And it's very difficult, we know, from appraisals. You can call me and say, hey, Rick, what's this house going to, I don't know what's going to appraise for.
You have no idea.
None.
No idea. Like I got a guy right now, I'm selling his house, and we went under contract, and he got an appraisal 4 months ago for $540, and 4 months later, now I got one for $505 from another buyer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, how the hell does that happen?
Right.
That's a big difference, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's what I tell those people too is, okay, say somebody does come in and a realtor doesn't do any comps, doesn't do the due diligence to let them know they were paying for the house. If the appraisal comes in low, are you going to accept that? As long as it's, around the price I was saying. And if they don't say yes, there's no point.
Right.
Because it's not going to sell. Because especially depending on the price of the house, most people can't come up with an extra 10 grand.
Right.
Because it's their first time home buyers. That's all they got. They're tough conversations, but they're needed to have. If you're not having those conversations with your clients, you're not educating them, because we are the professionals, you're the professionals, then we're not doing our jobs. And a lot of times I feel like, again, back on the training, the one-on-ones and stuff like that, is agents don't purposely do that. They just haven't been trained. Like, hey, here's the conversations you need to have. And maybe they were trained, but they just haven't done enough deals where like it just rolls off their tongue, right? Because how many, was it 4.3 houses a year an average agent sells,
right, give
or take? That's hard to retain all that knowledge to make sure it's flowing off your tongue, unless you're doing a lot of deals.
Yep.
So that's where like having those refreshers and having a active managing broker in your life, makes a big difference.
I explained it to one salesperson. I was telling him, I'm like, look, you've broken up with a girl, right? It's hard, right? It just is. Well, guess what? You giving bad news is the same thing, and you just got to go do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was the hardest thing for people when I was in the automotive industry. You come in, you need your car fixed, right? Okay, we got to order a part. You're gonna leave your car. You left your car. Part's supposed to be in the next day, from what we're told. Well, come 1 o'clock, your part didn't show up. Well, instead of that advisor doing their job and checking on that and then calling you, you end up showing up at 4 or 5 o'clock. Your car's not ready. You're pissed off. Like there's so many steps to be taken. And then I was very successful in that industry. But, I always put my clients first. I always made notes. People don't make enough notes. You can't remember everything. You wrote your number down, right?
Right.
You can't remember everything. Like the MRP thing. I had a brain fart. Like military.
What's MRP?
Military relocation specialist.
All right, we'll get into that here in a little bit.
Yeah. But you can't remember everything. I got tons of notes in the notes section of my phone. I got copy paste in there.
Me too.
You have to have it. You have to have it. And I don't know. It's helped me out tons.
It saves you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said something which you were talking about in the start about the videos and making that, and how people have to just get started. And it's the same, I think, with what you're saying about when they're making presentations to a buyer or a seller, is you have to do it.
You got to do it.
And you're not going to be good at it at first.
You're going to suck.
You're right. You just know you are.
But you got to have confidence. Confidence why you suck.
And who should you do it in front of first? A real seller?
Me.
Yes, exactly.
Do it on the phone. Like role playing is huge.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. When I was 20 years old at the dealership, like we would role play certain scenarios, phone calls, this, that. I remember like I was selling the most fuel system cleanings there, and I wasn't overselling. I was selling them in intervals that cars were supposed to have them. And my manager at times like, how are you selling so many of those? And I kept the box on my desk, and the box says what it does. So I would just take the box and read, this is what it does. It's going to clean your combustion systems. They're going to do this. It's simple. It's a script. Anybody can read a script,
right?
But they choose not to,
right?
I mean, but practice makes perfect. And that's another reason why I like it when my agents get to ride with me and get to go to these listing consults with me, because they get to hear how I'm talking.
Right.
They get to hear like firsthand, especially riding with me. It's kind of like the Lincoln Lawyer. Like you're going to learn so much if you're riding with somebody that's done it for years and are good at what they do.
Yes.
Lending's, that's the hardest part about your industry, my industry, is like, not everybody can listen to those phone calls all the time. And
Right.
how they handle them. Like it's not like your desk is right next to each other and you're listening to everything and picking up on, oh man, he said that and that worked, or I learned this, I didn't know that.
That's why it's important to be in the office.
It is,
Yeah.
or important just to get together.
Yes.
Every so often. Even phone recordings would be good people to listen to. We did that at Discount Tire. We listen to phone recordings, like what to say, what not to say. And you didn't want to be on some of those recordings. We'd have our manager, big manager meeting with like all the stores. Like, oh, Timmy, he fucked up. He shouldn't have said that.
It is, and I've done the recordings and everything.
Yeah.
You can think you had the best call ever. And look, we've all been on the phone enough times. We understand when we've had one. But you go back and listen to it, you'd be like, did I really just say that?
Yeah.
What was I thinking?
You could totally improve
Yep.
yourself by listening to yourself talk.
Yeah.
And just like you said, say you don't have anybody to role play with, video it.
Yep.
Video yourself, get comfortable being uncomfortable, video yourself, see your mannerisms, see what you're doing. I used to walk up to my advisors when I was managing and they'd be talking on the phone to the client with their freaking hand in their pocket. Like, was your hand cold? Get your hand out of your pocket, like talk. I talk with my hands all the time.
Right.
Like talk, walk around if you can. You can't really walk around there, but like I'm at home and I'm talking, I'm walking around, I'm talking. Like I can't sit at the desk. I hardly ever use my desk, but it's just what we do. And we don't understand we're doing until we hear ourselves or see ourselves doing it. Like, man, do I really sound like that?
Well, when we were talking about sounding,
Is that how I pronounced it?
it's one of those things is you're actually told to smile
Yeah.
when you're on the phone.
Which is easy for you and I because we
Yes.
smile all the time.
Yeah.
You smile all the time too.
But it's weird because you're like, there's no way that can make a difference.
It does.
It does.
It does. And those are skills that I still feel like are not taught anymore. And that's one thing, like Discount Tire had some amazing, tire store, right?
Right.
Amazing training that I was a sponge to. And then I left that company, which had amazing training, to Huber Chevy at the time when Howard owned it. And Joe Harding, God rest his soul, walks me up to my desk, says, "Here you go," and walks away. And it's an old DOS system, which they still kind of use Reynolds and Reynolds. And Rick Lucian behind me, I had to learn the keystrokes, to get from this point to this point, because it's a bunch of keystrokes, really crazy. But I still did fine.
Yeah.
I managed and adapted and overcame.
Your car stores don't give a lot of training.
I don't think. I think a lot of businesses don't.
No.
I really don't.
I think CarMax, when they first came out, they
CarMax
actually
does, yeah.
They do it. And they do more of a group thing. So every Friday, they'll have all the sales staff come in 30 minutes earlier, and they'll do it. And what I liked about the group one was you and I can have role play at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
After a month,
It's going to get old.
I know what you're about to say.
Yeah.
And you may not have the same language I talk with.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. But little Timmy over there in the corner says, "Hey, this is the way I do it." And you're like, "Wait, that's more me."
Yeah.
And you can take bits and pieces of what somebody else says and make it your own.
Absolutely. That's the script isn't meant to read word for word. The script is meant to make your own. It just gives you the foundation to make it your own. And then when you make it your own, now you're comfortable.
Only if you don't work at a help desk.
Yeah.
Help desk, it's all script.
Yeah. It's all AI. What are you talking about? It's like, I want to talk to a real person.
Yep.
Then it pauses. I want to talk to somebody in the United States. Then it pauses.
Yeah.
Then they put you, it's funny. You can say that and they'll do that.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to get into this, but we're car guys here.
Yeah.
So if you could own any car, what car would that be?
I would love to have a 1970 Chevelle Resto Mod with a 6.2 fuel injected GM motor, new AC, pretty much an old car and a new chassis.
Yeah. Yeah. Retro mod. Just like you said, a
Most people
retro
don't know
mod.
what Resto Mods are. To me, that's a unicorn. I can go buy a Corvette or a Ferrari or Porsche, but when I pull up in the Resto Mod, that's gone in 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like somewhat older cars, but I agree with you. They have to be upgraded for the newer stuff. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah, I got an old truck that's fun.
That suspension in an old truck
Yeah.
is not any fun.
No,
Especially at our age.
But people come up and they'll ask you about that before they ask you about your $80,000 truck.
Absolutely.
They will.
Yeah.
I got this 82 Silverado. It's got a little bit of lift on it, and it's got some really cool patina. And I did drop a crate motor in it and stuff. And I drive that thing out and park it somewhere. Somebody might come in. Whose truck is that? You know? I drive my other truck. Like, no, I get no.
It is. I always find it funny because you could have a Ferrari pull up, and you have a '69 Camaro pull up, and everybody's going to go to the Camaro.
Absolutely. I don't know. I don't know. I'm like you. I like the carburation. I like the sound. Obviously, a Resto would have fuel injection, but it's just the nostalgicness of that car.
Yeah. But the Resto mod, I believe that's the only way to go.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
All my friends have redone their cars, and I kept telling them, make it a Resto mod. And you know what? They don't drive them very much. You know why? Because they're hard to drive.
They're hard to drive.
Yeah.
Then you don't want to work on it, and it could sit there for a year. Now it's leaking.
Yeah. Yeah.
You ain't driven it.
Yeah, Resto mod to me that's
the way to go.
Is the only way to go, unless you're not going to drive it or it's so unique that you don't Resto mod it.
No, yeah, you ruin the value of it. But then I wouldn't want it. Like I don't think I ever want a car that I don't want to drive.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like I know what you're talking about. Like say you had some real rare Shelby or numbers matching this.
Yeah, you don't want to touch that.
That's more of an investment. A car, I'd say. Like if somebody bought that, it'd be like, all right, this is an investment.
Yep.
I'm not going to drive a mothball. It's going to sit in a container somewhere or whatever. But for me, I want to grab the car and drive.
Yeah. But even that,
like a day like today, if I had that Chevelle, I would have drove it here.
Sitting in a container is not good for a car.
No,
they need to be driven.
In a metal. No, they need to be just like us.
Driven.
We're not good. We're not good to sit and not move.
That's right.
We're like cars.
That's right.
All right. So we went into the conversation about what you do if somebody wants to sell their house. So let's do this. If somebody is they're wanting to buy a house and they're already pre-approved through Rick and I, because we're the best out there. So what's your process if little Timmy walks up to you, hey, I got my pre-approval through Ian and Rick. I like to look at houses.
Okay. Well, I always like to sit back down with them, go over the purchase agreement, seller's disclosure, the documents they're going to see, through their computer that they're not going to read. So I like to do my due diligence, say this is what earnest money is. And this is what it's about. This is the inspection period. This is what it's about. Appraisal period. This is what it's about. And then we close. And then the budget and then the criteria of what they want. So if they're like, I want a 3-bedroom, no more than half an acre and one level. I don't want to get too tight on the criteria, but I'll do that. And I go, what do you think about small, big rooms? Does it matter? If they don't want like small rooms, I might limit the size of the house or the age of the house. Like maybe an 85 and newer or something like that. Because usually, with the house I grew up in before we moved, it's like 1970s, really small rooms, small closets too. But I get the criteria down. I set my search engine up, and then usually from there, my record is usually about 1 to 3 houses, and they're locked in.
Wow,
they're locked in. But I do my due diligence ahead of time, and when they send me things that like, all right, you didn't like this, you didn't like that. Like, are you sure? Okay, this is by a railroad track, or this is down this just on a busy road. You got kids, like I pick that apart and point it out to them because we're the professionals. They don't look at houses every day.
Right.
And I've also learned that from driving an hour somewhere and like we get there, like, oh, I didn't know railroad tracks were right next to it. Like, oh shit. Like, that's my fault.
Yeah.
I should have did an aerial, say, hey, railroad tracks right next to this house. Or hey, it's a 1 car, not a 2 car. You really wanted a 2 car. Those are the things that we're supposed to do to make sure. But yeah, once I got all that out of the way and now we're on the hunt, we start looking. And if I'm in a house and I start seeing issues already, I point them out. I've been in houses before, like where I just put my head in. Like I just get in, I turn around and say, you're not buying this house, but I'm going to show you why. Because like a DIY nightmare house.
Oh, okay.
And we walk through and all right, now we're leaving. I had a log cabin home, first time home buyers. We go look at it and you can already see rot and all this stuff. And log cabins are maintenance. And I said, I don't think you should buy this house. I go, I want you to talk to my inspector before we even put an offer in. We'll go walk through the house. They talked to my inspector on the phone. He says all the things he finds with log cabins, and they didn't buy it. And I ended up not selling them a house. They ended up buying a house from grandma's friend that was getting ready to go on a home. And like done through our lawyer. I wasn't mad at all. They actually gave me a gift card. Like, and they told me about it. And I was like, hey, that's cool. I totally get it. That sounds like a good deal. Do it.
Right.
And they said, we feel bad though, like, cause you drove all over. Like, it is what it is. Give me a referral or something. They gave me like a gift card for like, I think it was Cabela's or something, cause they knew I hunted. But yeah, you know, then once we finally get to the point we're going to buy the house, you know, I go over the numbers again. Like, okay, this is what we're okay with on price. This is what we're okay with on earnest money. Here's our inspection period. Here's our closing date to make sure they're going to be in town. That's important. How many agents just set a closing date? And well, I'm not going to be in town that day. Oh, I didn't know that, which can be moved, but you know, it's easier to do it up front. And then we pinned it and we close.
Awesome.
And we celebrate.
And one of the problems we have is sometimes when people will buy a house and then go on vacation between buying the house and closing on the house. Which can create some major issues with paperwork for mortgage people.
But if I figure that out ahead of time with the date, right? Because they'll know. I'll say, is this date okay? Now we need to get a POA. Or we need to do a remote signing.
Yeah.
You go on vacation as long as you're in the States.
Yeah.
If you're not in the States, we need to do a remote signing.
Yeah. But it's even between. Yeah. You know, it's you buy a house.
Collecting documents.
And you want to close 30 days later and you have a 2-week vacation in the middle of it and you can't get any documents. In a period like this where we're, you know, it's not slammed, we can get it done in 30 days. Even if we have a 2-week vacation, right? You can't get us paperwork. But there are times when that has become a challenge.
Oh yeah. I'd say underwriters are probably the nemesis of our business, but they're a necessary nemesis.
Yeah. The thing is it's not really. We always blame it on the underwriter, but the reality is they're just a policeman.
They got to have the paperwork
running through the rules.
I've had people before where like somebody parent gives kid a gift, parent doesn't want to show bank account. It's like you have to. It's the federal government rules.
Right.
Parents super pissed off. Like we don't make the rules. No. You don't make the rules. Very seldom does that happen, but like people are pretty close heart with their bank stuff. I get it. But like you're not going to share with anybody else. Like this is federal government stuff, so make sure the money's coming from where it's coming from.
Yep.
Yeah, it's one of those things that Rick and I did one podcast on it. It was like interesting how much parents don't want to talk about how much they make or how much you need to make as growing up.
Yeah.
Luckily, my dad actually, he goes, I don't know if I should tell you this. And at that, I'm like just in college and he's like, well, what do you want to make? What do you want to do? Because here's what's going to happen is you're going to have this, then you're going to have taxes.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have this. And it was a nice sit down conversation, but come to find out is I guess most people don't have those conversations.
They don't. I've had conversations with our oldest, like, you know, we didn't grow up. Like they didn't grow up with how successful I am now until about probably 3 or 4 years ago. But I was like, hey, you like doing these things we're doing and you like having these nice things, you're going to need to get a good job. And my dad already put money aside for college for him before we got to where we're at. And I go to college, get a business degree. She wants to be a lawyer. We'll see how that works, right? I hope she does. It's a big commitment. But at least get a business degree as a minor. You know, Kelly School of Business, when I was going there, I learned a lot.
Right.
A lot. Education's huge. Reading books are huge. Experience is huge. So, like, I've had those conversations with her, and she says I work too much sometimes. I go, but that's what it takes. I go, if you want to grow, and you want to grow exponentially, you need to outwork everybody else. And then eventually, you can set yourself up to where you might have a portfolio that supports what you've been making so you can scale in a different direction. She's 18. You know, the more I say it, the more she might realize it as she gets older.
Yep.
And our youngest is 12. So, you know, not much grooming to do yet. You know, just be a good person.
Yep.
You know, at that age, be a good person.
All right. So we got two last ones. One, I'm kind of curious because we all watch this stuff on TV.
Yeah.
And so you were on the American Dream TV, right?
Yeah.
So one, how was that? And how realistic is it?
So American Dream TV, they came to town. They picked 40 people out of referrals from like maybe you or other people, like who's your top agents out here. And this was their first time coming to Indy because Indy's a smaller town. And they picked 40 of us, and there's like 4 different meetings with 10 each. Basically the main speaker, the owner, is talking about what he's offering. And I was like, we get offered all kinds of stuff. Like, is this real, not real? And I'm sitting in this room, Biff Ward's like 6 stairs over from me. I got Biff Ward. Like, wow. Like, most people on the South Side don't know her name. I know her name because she's kind of a badass. But I was like, this is real, and it is something you had to pay into. It wasn't free. It was like $1,500 a month. And the second they'd give you a videographer. You'd have to go ahead and pick your segment, like everything you had to do on yourself on your end. And then the videographer would meet you, and you'd go and shoot different places. You'd have to come up with all your own, what you're going to say.
Okay.
Like you're doing it all. And then it airs the second month, which was like $3,000 by then, right? So you're $3,000 in for one small video. And I was just, it does help. It did help because a lot of people saw it and they still see it as like, man, like Sean got on TV, like great. But in my mind, it's like, I could do this better. And I have done it better on my own, on a different level. And it did help me figure that out. Like we went and bought a Nikon Z9 camera. We went and bought nice microphones. I got a drone. My wife's an amazing videographer and editor, but even though she's amazing, she's still a nurse and still works. So I hire videographers now and because I'm already setting it all up.
Right.
So like for $900, I'm doing a segment that would have cost me $3,000.
Right.
That's supposed to be on all these sites, right? And it took you forever to find it.
Right.
Now, like we can produce 3 times what we would have been able to produce with them. I won't discredit them. I think they have a great thing. I think it's a good program. I think Indiana is a very small state. And what I realized right away is like 2 other people did the same stuff I did on the first segment. Like, I was like, oh, this guy's. And then my first segment was supposed to be, we had the lighting of the tree coming up. It was like, I can't remember how many years it was in. And instead of them airing it the second month, they aired it the third month. So I was like,
so you're off. Okay.
That doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I had some words with the owner of the company. I said, this isn't for me anymore. I was like, now I'm spending, was it $4,500 for one segment. So yeah, I left that show and took what I learned from it, and I learned a lot. And now I'm doing all my own stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So I know Rick and I are huge with the military. We appreciate them so much. But you do something, and we briefly mentioned it earlier. So let's go into this.
So MRP specialist is basically a military relocation specialist. We go through training to learn what aspects when they're moving from one state to another state that we need to know about, how the veterans get all their items paid for to be moved, like the little moving company, which some don't even use a moving company. What it's like for them to move to a state they don't know anything about, which again, those videos have helped me share different aspects of Franklin, Bargersville, downtown Indianapolis. I haven't got everything built yet, but like I can share a video with them, say, hey, this is what downtown's like. This is what this is like. So it's really helped put us in connection with them in a whole different level than when you do 90 hours in real estate and take your 4 hours of tests, like doesn't teach you what the military go through. And they move every 3 years.
Right.
So a lot of them are pretty used to moving. So what's really important to them is how close they're going to be to their base, schools, and then, making their spouse comfortable, right? I had one, she was used to living on base, and they kind of wanted something more of a compound setup, which is tough, right? It's tough. We found something in Seymour. We did. We found something in Seymour, and it had kind of a courtyard in it. When you drove in, there was a gate shut. It was really cool. And we found what they needed. I picked them up, not at the airport. They had a rental car ready, but I picked them up, drove them around the whole time, showed them the town. I like to show them as much as I can. It's tough sometimes when they fly in because they only have like a half a day or something.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. So the more we can share with them up front about the benefits of the different towns and amenities of the different towns, the easier it is for them to make that decision. And I've had a huge success with it. I mean, like a lot of these people are my friends now. I did a march with one of them not too long ago from the POW camp, not POW camp, from is in Atterbury, is one of the shelter houses to the POW memorial, and then back with his group. And these are they're like a motorcycle group. I can't remember the name of them right now. Forgive me, Roger. Shoot, it's a veteran motorcycle group. It's wounded. I'll think of it later and give you guys, and just pop it up there, right? But it's basically ones that have been in action, and I love my veterans. I do. I love them. They've been through a lot. They've served us. It's time for us to serve them.
Yep.
And just pay our respect.
Okay. So let's let you help them. What's the best way they can get a hold of you?
Oh, call me at 317-371-0060. Also get me at danielsrealestate.com. You can get me on Facebook. I don't do Twitter. Get me on Instagram. You can get me on LinkedIn because I'm not too old. And is there one more? I can't remember.
Probably right MySpace.
I don't do MySpace. Is that even on? They even have MySpace?
And to get a hold of Ian or I, go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com, or you can give us a call at 317-672-1938. It's 317-672-1938. And please follow us for more Indy's Real Estate Gurus.
A reminder, if you have any friends, family, or coworkers looking to buy, sell, refinance, let us know. We'll be more than happy to help you. All right, Sean. Thank you for joining us again. It was a pleasure.
Appreciate it. Deja vu. Let's do it next year.
Yes.
Branch NMLS number 33041. Rick Ripma's NMLS number 664589. Arnold NMLS number is 1995469. Equal housing opportunity. Some restrictions apply.